This morning, we're going to delve into an Old Testament book. It's the book of Habakkuk, or Habakkuk. Kind of sounds like a cat throwing up a hairball, doesn't it? Habakkuk. Or Habakkuk, wherever you're from. Okay, and Habakkuk has got a driving question. It's a theme that goes all throughout his book. And his book is only 3 chapters long. And Habakkuk's question is this: why doesn't God seem fair? Why doesn't God seem fair? And you know what? You may have the exact same question. Why doesn't God seem fair? I mean, look how he starts off his book. Habakkuk chapter 1, beginning at verse 2. How long, Lord, must I call for help? But you do not listen, or cry to you violence, but you do not save. Why do you make me look at injustice? Why do you tolerate wrongdoing? Destruction and violence are before me. There is strife, and conflict abounds. Therefore, the law is paralyzed, and justice never prevails. The wicked hem in the righteous, so that justice is perverted. You know, in Habakkuk's day, it seems like everything was going wrong in his life. He was looking at his people. He was looking at his community, and everything was going wrong, and he was perplexed. In Habakkuk, he had some questions for God. Maybe it's questions that you have as well. Why does it seem like evil people prosper? They cheat and they lie, they thieve, and yet it seems like they prosper over and over again. They have an overabundance of things. When the person who gets up every morning and works hard never gets the promotion, or they work hard and they never seem to get a foot forward, they never seem to get ahead. Why is it that the evil person can live to the ripe old age of 102 when the young Christian father is struggling with cancer at age 42? Or you know what? We put so much time and energy into our kids. We prayed with them. They went to a Christian school. We took them to church. We taught them. And now they just seem to be out of control. When this other family put very little time, energy, or effort into their child, and they're doing just fine. Or God, you know what? I tithe. God, I tithe. I try to live a Christian life. I try to live the way that you call me to live, and yet I continue to struggle financially. Or God, you seem to answer everybody else's prayer. I mean, they pray, and it's like you answer immediately. And Lord, I'm praying intently, and I'm praying earnestly, and it seems like you don't hear, you don't answer. God, why am I struggling with that pain? Or God, why am I struggling with those migraines? How come, God, I'm the one that's battling depression? Why? Why don't you seem fair? And to be honest, right? I mean, to be honest, how could you be good, God? How could you be holy? And how could you be silent? See, Habakkuk had some of the same questions. Habakkuk was incredibly in love with God. Habakkuk had this very rich faith, and yet he went head first, face first into this wall that challenged his faith. See, the things that he saw did not add up with what he believed. And he had this very difficult season of life. And maybe that's you. Maybe you can relate to that. Where the things that you're experiencing in your life, the things that you're seeing in the world or within your family, don't add up with what you believe, and so your faith is struggling. Just to give you a little bit of context, a little bit of background. I mean, very little is known about Habakkuk. He was the 8th of 12 minor prophets. Now, there's major prophets and minor prophets in the Old Testament, and the difference between a major and a minor is simply how much they wrote. For instance, of all 12 of the minor prophets, there are 67 chapters. In the book of Isaiah, there are 66. So obviously, Isaiah is a major prophet, and Habakkuk would be considered a minor prophet. We know that Habakkuk was a temple musician. He came from the tribe of Levi. He was of the priestly class, and so he was a priest, and he was a prophet. Now, a prophet is God's right-hand man. A prophet is God's spokesperson, right? And so God would give a message to the prophet, and then the prophet would go and proclaim that message to the people. And so he was a priest and a prophet, and he lived somewhere around 600 BC. But see, Habakkuk was unique because God gave him a message, and nowhere in his book did he share that message with the people. In fact, in those 3 chapters in Habakkuk, in the back of your Bible, Habakkuk is having a discussion with God. It's this dialogue between the prophet and God. And as he talks with God, he increases his understanding of the person, the power, and the plan of God. You see, in the time of Habakkuk, there was violence, and there was corruption, and there was ungodliness. Bad people were treating good people poorly, and the good people weren't all that good to begin with. Much like today, huh? And Habakkuk is crying out before God, God, why do you allow these things to take place? Why do you allow this injustice? Why do you allow this violence to take place? And so God comes to Habakkuk and says, I am going to discipline my people. My people who are living far from me. My people who are focused on self. God says, I'm going to discipline them. And I'm going to discipline them with the Babylonians. Now, when Habakkuk heard this, that God was going to allow this foreign army to come in and discipline his people, he immediately said, no, God. This does not seem fair.